Hi folks, welcome to this edition of Broken Arrow in Motion Take 5. I'm City Manager Michael Spurgeon and thanks for joining us. With me today is my guest, Councilmember Debra Wimpee. Debra, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Thanks for coming on the show today. I asked the council member to come on to talk about the 2018 General Obligation Bond Package initiative that the City Council and administration is currently considering. But before we get started and talk about the bond package, let's talk about the fact that you just had an anniversary.
I did. Last week on the 4th, 1 year as a City Council member. So it's been a pretty wild ride, I think, so far. So yeah.
1 year, huh?
Yeah, learned a lot. It's been a great learning process and looking forward to the next 3 years.
So if you had to come up with one or two things that have been most impactful since you got on the council in April a year ago, what would they be?
I think probably having the opportunity to maybe bridge a gap between the city and the leadership, because I think that was kind of one of my main focuses, was putting a new spin on what our city, our community felt about our city leadership, if there were any negatives. And so hopefully that's what I've been able to do so far.
Well, you know, all new council members, I always believe it's very important to do an orientation to get council members up to speed on what's happening in the community. And you went through about 40 to 50 hours over probably 2 or 3 months of going to every department. Talk a little bit about that and let the community know, as a new council member, what type of orientation you went through.
Sure. So we actually had me scheduled with every department within the city, which I thought was so interesting, and what a neat way to do that, because otherwise, if I would have taken it upon myself, it could have taken a much longer process to do that. But we would make an appointment and we would sit down with every person in that department and get to know them, how long they've been with the city, which was very eye-opening. The majority of our employees had been there, that are on the management teams have been there, you know, long-term. Like this is where they want to be, obviously, which made me feel really good being a city councilor for the city. But then we would leave that meeting and we would go out. So if it was the sewer, we would go out to a sewer plant. And not gonna lie, I learned a lot of interesting things that I'm not sure I necessarily wanted to know, but things like how long it takes once you flush your toilet to get to the sewer plant. It's 10 hours for me, so that was interesting. Things like if Bluebell puts too much cream in the drain,
That's right,
it messes up the whole system. Those little bugs that like our sewage do like the fat and the cream way too much, and so it throws everything off. So, and it took a while to get the smell. I felt like I just smelled like it for a little bit, but those guys said they don't even notice it anymore. So learn interesting things like that. Learned how many street signs we had in our city. And I shared that with people, which, you know, most people may not think it's a big deal, but I was like, hey, that's kind of neat, you know, that we make our own signs, and then how many we had. And so just all kinds of, I mean, it was rapid, but it was really neat to meet everyone in the departments. And I think it probably helped kickstart my council, you know, being able to meet everyone in each department and have that little bit of time with them to just get to know them a little bit. So I enjoyed it.
You come into office and there's so much happening that it's very important to get up to speed, to get that education that you need.
Oh yeah, because you start day one.
That's right.
So I was learning as I was starting, so yeah.
Well, speaking of education, and today the purpose of our conversation is to talk about the 2018 General Obligation Bond Package. And as you know, as a council member, this past January, the administration presented to you the proposed package with all of the different projects. And we spent the last 2 months really listening to the community and what their thoughts are. So just talk a little about what it's meant to you the last couple of months in this process, being your first time you've actually gone through it with the council member.
It was very eye-opening. I didn't, you know, as just a citizen, you're not aware of what takes place, you know, the process of that, gathering the information from staff recommendations to then, you know, you taking a hold of that and deciding what's actually going to be in the package, or, you know, the beginning of the package. And then for us to sit down when we did the meeting, the initial meeting with not just the staff, but it was also the people who had items and projects in the package that wanted to just give us one more, a little bit more, plug about their project because they're passionate about it. So that was an all-day event for us, and I thought that was such a great way to kind of learn more about the packages and just have an overall understanding of what goes into doing a bond package project.
The next step after the initial meeting, council wanted to have a series of public forums to give the community an opportunity to take a first look at the packages and comment on them. And I know that you attended those meetings. And so what'd you hear from the public in those meetings, Councilor?
Well, first, they loved having them. They loved the opportunity to come in, talk one-on-one with each department, and or like if it was the veterans or the Rose Garden, whoever the projects were, they enjoyed being able to actually talk with them and get a little more detailed information about each project. And then they were able to actually say, this is where I think the priority needs to be. And you guys collected all that information and compiled it and kind of helped put the emphasis where it needed to be.
Well, from those public hearings, the administration has spent the last 30 to 45 days paring down the package, which was about $285 million, $290 million. And right now, the council is going to have a discussion on April 17th about the package, which right now is about $222 million. In order for it to be a no tax increase, we've got to get it down to around $211 million or somewhere under there. So council is going to talk about it on the 17th, and then on the 23rd of April, we're going to have a public forum so the public can look at the what projects are still in and what are on that proverbial cut line, because obviously the council said, yourself included, we want this to be a no tax increase. So how important is public engagement in this process to you where we are right now, since we're basically at the proverbial 11th hour?
Yeah, I'm hoping that as we've built up to it, that people, with each forum we've held, that people will understand, oh, I do have a voice, and it is important for me to come in and share that voice with leadership, the city council, and yourself. And so the 23rd meeting, I think, will be probably the most informative of them all, because we will have that overall, here's what we're thinking, here's what, like you said, below that cut line, and we can really get a perspective from people who are sitting in front of us and how they feel that. I know we've done even smaller grouped, focus groups to talk about those projects and such. So I'm hoping that the 23rd has the most people in attendance, because that's the one where I think they'll really get, the meats and potatoes of what's going to be coming out for August 28th. So.
Well, you're in a unique situation as you've lived here basically your whole life, and so you've driven on the roads.
Right.
I mean, your kids in the parks, schools, and so forth, and we've involved the Broken Arrow Public School District as well as the Chamber in developing the package. Quality of life is so important in this community, and investing and reinvesting in your infrastructure is a part of that. So from your perspective as one of our elected officials, how important is it to you to reinvest in our infrastructure so we maintain that quality of life?
Well, I think about, that the partnership we do have with our schools. You look out at Liberty, and because back in at that period of time in our city, we may not have had quite the partnership, and we weren't projecting the growth that we have out there. So for us to be looking ahead at what could be and how much larger our city could be growing, I think is really important for that partnership with the schools, because there's quite the dilemma that goes on in front of Liberty every day, before school and after school. So to be able to look ahead and try to focus on what areas of town that we can improve and widen and make it easier for everyone to get to and from would be great, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to be discussing with the council, then with the public on the 23rd, is the goals and objectives of the package. Is why do we need to address our transportation system? Why is it important to reinvest in our parks, our public safety, and so forth? So after the April 23rd, here's my next question, is what's the next step in the process after we have the meeting on the 23rd?
So the council will approve an ordinance for it, and then from there we'll have the election, or I guess it's the election.
Yes.
On the August 28th. And in the meantime, we'll be pushing towards making sure that everyone is aware of the election and what the package entails. So from your perspective, public education is extremely important. So
once the council sets the package and actually formally adopts the date for the election, talk about public education. How is the city going to do that?
So the City of Broken Arrow has been doing an amazing job. Your Take 5 videos, your BA in Motion videos, those have been incredible. And I hear all the time about everyone who's so excited and thankful that you're doing those, so thank you. So obviously social media is a big thing, and so that's where we'll probably be plugging the most of it. It'll of course be on the city website. I'm sure there'll be mailers out, the water bill, the calendar and the water bill.
Yeah.
So there'll be multitudes of ways, I'm sure at every event we attend, whether it be a chamber event or what have you, we'll have the information about the date and just being educated. That's what's important, is for people that when they do go to vote on August 28th, that they understand what they're voting on. And from what I'm feeling right now, I think we're going to do a really good job of making sure they do understand what is in this package, how long the package is, how long it takes. Just because you vote on it August 28th, we'll explain that it doesn't happen August 29th. So I think that's one thing that's really eye-opening to me, is learning how much stuff costs. Before I was elected, I'd say, I was just like, the other people would say, why isn't this road widened? When are they going to widen this road? Well, some of those roads are just about to be widened, and they were from a 2011 or 2014
That's right.
bond issue. So I wasn't aware of that, nor did I even think to question anyone. I just, I was on that, what's going on? Why are we not widening this? And that it costs $5 million if it's just a plain widening. I had no idea. 1 mile of widening a road. That's not if there's a bridge or anything, complicated with it. So I think that's what will be the best part about August 23rd and going forward all the way up until the election, is just making sure people understand what's in the package. And then we'll make sure we do whatever we need to do to make sure that they are aware of this election and what's in the package.
Well, this package is probably a year and a half in the making, in terms of directors making recommendations and then getting the survey last fall and then the public input. And to me, the fun part, and all this has been fun because it's so important for our city, the fun part's going to be to go out and talk to people. And I know you love to do that.
Yeah.
To talk to folks about the public education, because we can't tell them how to vote. We can only provide information on exactly what's in the package. So mention how we're going to hit some of the community organizations as well.
We're going to go to probably the Rotary Club.
Yeah.
I think you're scheduled to go talk to the Rotary Club. And of course, myself and Council Member Udi are both Rotarians as well. So we will reiterate exactly what you share with the Rotary Club over that period of time. And I'm sure we'll be speaking, to the Chamber and the Civitans and just any community organizations. We're going to make sure we get in front of them, along with the other just social aspects of how to get communications out.
Well, that's exactly right. That's just about all the time we have. Anything you want to finish up with about the importance of this package?
No, I'm excited to be a part of my first one, and it was a little overwhelming, but I mean, we're getting there. But
well, you've been very, very supportive of the administration and listening and giving your input about what's important, representing the folks within the community. So I want to thank you on behalf of all the leadership team and all the employees for the time that you've put into your orientation and how you've basically worked to do a very good job of representing the community in this package. I appreciate all your input. So that's about all the time we have for this edition of Broken Arrow in Motion Take 5. We appreciate you tuning in. And once again, the public forum is going to be on April 23rd. There's going to be information in the Take 5, talks about what time and where. And until next time, I hope to see you around town, and take care.